Welcome. We have here for the first time on the channel a Nanao MS8-26SU. It could also be the MS8-26 because there's no pincushion circuitry, but I have not featured one of these on the channel before because I haven't had one come across the bench. I'm not sure if it's pronounced Nanao or Nano or however you want to say it, because it's actually N-A-N-A-O, as you can see there. I've always just said Nanao. I've never heard anybody actually pronounce it. But I have not had one of these come across the channel before or across the bench, so we'll feature it here. This actually came out of a Cruisin' USA, and ironically I'm running Cruisin' USA because that's the only spare medium res board I have. A little backstory here is this actually came out of a Cruisin' USA from a friend who's a local operator who was converting all of his racing games to LCD just for peace of mind and ease of operation for all of them being out on route that he has. Doesn't want to deal with monitor problems, so he took this out and got a hold of me and said, hey, I have this monitor out of my Cruisin' machine. Do you want it? I said, absolutely. So I met up with him. He gave it to me. I brought it home and hooked it up. And when I turned it on, it turned on and had high voltage, but I had no neck glow. The neck glow was missing, had no image, all that stuff. And it turns out it was just a cold solder joint on the neck board for the G2 circuit. After fixing that, it came on and I had image and everything looked okay. Kind of washed out and whatnot, so I did a full reflow, full cap kit, including filter cap, new flyback, the whole 9 yards of the entire rebuild, did all that, and now it's operating and looking fantastic. No issues, been burning in here for a couple hours, and it's not getting brighter, dimmer, focus, everything's perfect. I think it's ready to live a long life now from this point on, another 30 years. But so there's not really much to feature. What this is it's a dual res chassis. It has the option here for, you can see there low right there, and high. The low plug will be obviously for, let's see, sorry, it's been a long day. Standard res game, sorry, low connections for standard res, high is for medium res, as we can see here, as evidenced by the Cruisin' USA. It does work on low res or standard res. I've checked that out as well. So it's now a fully functioning, 100% operational chassis after the rebuild and everything. It didn't start out that way. Like I say, I had no neck glow from a bad G2 solder joint on the neck board. So everything is now honky-dory. But the reason I'm doing this is because I've never shown one of these off before, and if you haven't seen what they are, here's what they look like. You can select the resolution from the jumper here. There's really not much to it. It's just like any other standard chassis. You got your screen, position, size, adjustments all here. Here are your color bias pots and your cutoffs, and then you have a brightness pot right there. A degal switch, horizontal width coil, yoke connection, resolution headers, the whole basic chassis, basic setup. But the reason I'm doing this is to showcase this particular chassis. I haven't shown it before. Like I say, it just needed the regular work, so I didn't really show off the regular work. We've seen that a million times in my other videos. If it wasn't for this particular feature of the setup here, I may not have made the video at all, because I have a number of chassis that come across the bench that I don't even make videos for, because unless there's something noteworthy or something worth showing, there's really not much that I do videos on in that aspect. Unless there's something worth showing, it just comes across the bench, I fix it, and it goes either in my stockpile, in my reserve, or back to the owner. But in this case, something very interesting is going on with this chassis. Now, as we've mentioned, of course, this is not a Wells Gardner chassis. This is a Nanao, N-A-N-A-O, however you say it. A Nanao MS8-26 or 26SU, basically the same thing, just with pincushion circuitry or non-pincushion circuitry. But what's very interesting is the fact that this is a Wells Gardner K7400 monitor. If we look right here, Wells Gardner monitor, 25-inch 7400. And I thought when I first came across this, well, now wait a minute, somebody has jury-rigged on this dual-res chassis onto a K7400, and I thought, now how is that possible? Because I would have thought, you know, any sane person would have thought that that wouldn't be compatible. Okay, future Mike here cutting in. Sorry about the intrusion, but what I'm about to say and what I'm about to show is going to severely alter the video from this point on, because a lot of you probably saw the original version of this a number of days ago when I posted it. But after about a day or so of the video being live, somebody contacted me and said, hey, you may want to check the yoke windings and with the multimeter and make sure that they read correctly for K7400, because they were fairly certain that this chassis will not operate correctly or properly on a K7400 yoke. And because the yoke appeared to be original, it's absolutely original. This yoke was never removed from this tube. The glue holding in the inserts and the glue holding the rings together and all that stuff, there's no doubt that this yoke was put on here from the factory at Wells Gardner and never left this tube. There's no doubt. Now, that being said, I assumed that it was a K7400 yoke because it's on a K7400 tube. But that's not an accurate statement. This yoke is not a K7400 yoke. This is a yoke that is compatible with this dual res chassis. So I made a mistake on that. I removed the original video because I did not want any incorrect, inaccurate information being put out there. I originally stated that this yoke was a K7400 yoke and all of that stuff would be compatible. The K7000, the U2000, U5000, the Hendrix Polo would all be compatible with this chassis. And it turns out that is not correct because I'm about to show you what the actual readings from the yoke are. And I'll explain all that here shortly. So I wanted to cut in here and talk about how I had the original version of this video had incorrect information, and I removed the video and I'm making this new video with the proper correct information because I don't want somebody possibly damaging their system or their setup by the information that I put out. That's the last thing I'd want. So I'm going to come back in here with some new footage showing the yoke measurements, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Alright, so here we have the meter hooked up and I have the yoke connector removed, and on a regular K7400 yoke, the horizontal windings, which are the red and the blue, they should be about 2.5 ohms. 2 to 2.5 ohms is a normal reading for horizontal on the K7400, K7000, U2000, U5000, Hendrix Polo. It's around 2 to 2.5 ohms for the horizontal, which is blue and red. So if we check out this particular yoke, here's what it reads. 0.7. So that's not compatible with the 7400 and all those other ones I mentioned at all. So that's problem number one. Problem number two is the vertical windings, which are the red, I'm sorry, not the red, the brown and the yellow. Sometimes it's yellow and green, but for this instance it's brown and yellow. Normal reading on the 7400, 2000, 5000, Hendrix Polo, 7000 are around 8 to 11. Depending on which version you have. 8 to 11 ohms is normal. Let's see if I can get that in there. There we go. But on this chassis, it's... If we can get that in there, come on. 31.3. So, yes, this, even though this yoke is original by all accounts, you can see there that the glue for the standoff and on the yoke there, I mean, this has never been removed, quite obviously. This is absolutely set up for this chassis and this chassis alone. So like I say, originally I had mentioned that I was under the assumption this was a K7400 yoke, so I made the assumption that you could use this chassis on any of those other series of tubes and yokes, but that was not correct. I did not want to release that information because that is not an accurate statement. So we'll plug this back on here. There we go. And again, we know that this is a factory setup from Wells Gardner. They put this chassis on here and they modified the tabs here to hold it in place on the front. And then they put the screws in here, drilled the holes and put this on here. So this is factory setup from Wells Gardner. And again, if we look here, you can see that the ID tag on the tube is Wells Gardner 1544576, and on the chassis itself, Wells Gardner 1544576. So this is a matching numbers setup. Nanao or Nanao, I've heard it called now. This is a matching setup from Wells Gardner, directly from them, with a matching yoke for this type of setup. And for some reason I assumed I didn't bother to check, and that's my fault. But yes, this is set up specifically for this chassis. So if you come across a 7400, U2000, U5000, Hendrix Polo, K7000, and you have one of these, it will not work on that yoke. You must have this yoke with the 0.7 and the 31.3 or so for horizontal and vertical respectively. That's what this requires. So I had to make an amendment here to this video. If you saw the original one, disregard what I said and follow what I'm talking about on this version. So now we're all hooked back up, and oh, we're on we're on high res. I just want to check it one more time because it's been a few days. So let's turn this on. Yes, it comes right on. And oh, I got either a hold issue or dang it, I forgot that this has a different well, let me cut away here. I'm gonna turn this back off. I forgot that they have the sync wire on pin 6 instead of pin 10, and you can see here's my sync on pin 10. I got to put this jumper in here to jumper it over. Give me a second here. I'll get this taken care of, and we'll come back and test it one last time. Okay, so I got my jumper installed. I just turned it on, and there we go. That's not upside down, is it? It is upside down. It's upside down. I hooked it back up to the wrong one here. We got to move this back over to, oh geez, that's on there. This one. Okay, now it should be good. Disregard all my crap. What the heck? Oh, there we go. Loose connection. Now we're in business. Okay, so there we go. It works. Cruising USA should pop up here. There you go. All right, so that basically is it. You know, I think I've mentioned everything already up to that point where I cut in about all the specifics and features and stuff, but yeah, it is operational after the cap kit and the flyback and the reflow and the rehandling and everything, so it's back up and running after having no net glow from all the repairs I did, the normal cap kit flyback reflow stuff. But I wanted to verify the findings here based off of what I was told, and sure enough, yes, this yoke is not a K7400 yoke. It is a yoke specific to this chassis that Wells Gardner threw on here to make it compatible with the chassis to use the 7400 tube with the collaboration from Wells Gardner and Nanao or Nanao, however you say it. But okay, that's going to be about it. This is the first one of these I had across the bench, and it didn't need anything other than just a regular normal rebuild. If I get one across the bench in the future that needs more work, of course I will showcase it, but I made the mistake of giving incorrect information, and I had to remove the original video, make a new one here, but I wanted to get all that done. So sorry about that. You know, we all make mistakes, and I don't want incorrect information out there. Is this ever going to actually play the game, or just do the stupid attract mode the whole time? Oh, there you go. So, all right, thanks for watching. Stay tuned. I've got a U5000 in a box here with vertical collapse. Then I have two more K7500s that need work. So next series of videos you'll see a U5000 and a couple 7500s, and who knows after that. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching. Thanks for staying in there and following along with this fiasco here, and we'll see you next time. Much appreciated.